Alright, this is going to be my review for If. It's directed by John Krasinski. It stars Ryan Reynolds and Kaylee Fleming. It's all about growing up and, losing that imagination and that passion, that kids have. And it gets really drained out once you grow up. And especially when you become like a teenager, you start to push your parents away. You start to be a little bit less imaginative. And it's actually quite sad. And I found that this movie really portrayed that in a good way. You start the movie off with Kaylee Fleming and her family, and they're all happy, they're singing songs and playing make-believe, and it's really, really beautiful, and it really reminds you of your own childhood, or at least most people's childhood. But then as the movie goes on, you start to see that light just kind of dwindle in the main character played by Kaylee Fleming. I believe her name was Elizabeth, and it's really, really sad. And then you've got John Krasinski being the dad, and he's trying to, hold on to that childhood passion, and, she doesn't want it, and then over the course of the movie, she kind of gets it back a bit. Now, for the pros of the movie, I would say the number one pro that I have with it is the emotion. You get really wrapped up into the story, or at least I did, and you become really invested in the characters, especially Kaylee Fleming's Elizabeth character and her main family. I really, really cared about them because I resonated with the story. And near the end, something happens, and I was literally, shocked. I had goosebumps. I was really, really worried. I was just really invested emotionally into this movie. My next positive would be Ryan Reynolds and his character with the main character. They had a really good friendship throughout the movie. I thought it was really well done. I would say Ryan Reynolds isn't like the star of the movie like it's portrayed in the trailers. It's actually Kaylee Fleming, and she does a great job. Then I would say the imaginary friends were pretty good. I'm someone who grew up watching the Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends show, and this was kind of like that. Obviously not the exact same, but very similar. And I loved that show growing up. So just seeing this concept brought to live action was really, really cool. All of these adults who have lost their imagination, and then the imaginary friends showing up and all that. I really, really enjoyed the story. It was very simple, I will say that, and a little bit predictable, but I did enjoy it. I do think they should have had a little bit more of the imaginary friends, because we're really following around two of them, which is, I can't remember her name, but then Blue, the big purple guy. We're really following around those two, and then the other ones, they're not really in the movie all that much. And I would have liked to see a little bit more of the imaginary friends, but I will say that I did enjoy the ones that we did see. And I did enjoy the comedy in this movie. There wasn't as much as I was expecting, especially when you've got Ryan Reynolds in the cast. I think I laughed maybe 2 or 3 times. It was very, very little. They actually took the story quite seriously, so I'm kind of glad that it wasn't just like a big comedy. But I will say, I was expecting a lot more laughs just because Ryan Reynolds was in the movie. So yeah, guys, basically my pros are the cast. I thought it was really strong. I thought the story was good but simple. I really liked the main character and then Ryan Reynolds and their friendship. The imaginary friends were really well done, but I would have wanted a few more. And the biggest positive that I have is the emotion in the story. Now on to my negatives. The first one I would say is that the story is pretty predictable. There's a big twist that everybody saw coming, and the story overall was just pretty predictable, I would say. Some of the acting by some of the characters also wasn't very, very good. I'm not gonna, single out people or whatever, but there was a couple characters in the movie where I was like, ooh, I don't know. It wasn't unwatchable, don't get me wrong, but you could definitely tell a quality drop when these characters showed up. Then I would say I think they underutilized John Krasinski, and I get it, he's the director, he doesn't want the spotlight to be on himself, but at the same time, I think he could have been used in the movie a little bit more. Maybe you give him an imaginary friend or something, and it ties into the story or something like that. I think that would have been pretty cool. But yeah, honestly, I don't really have any huge negatives. It's really just the movie was fine. It was above average for sure, but it wasn't anything spectacular. There was nothing glaringly wrong about it. With that being said, I'm going to give If a 7 out of 10. I think it's a really good time at the theater. I think a lot of families are going to have a lot of fun with it. And a lot of adults too, like myself. I really enjoyed this movie because of the story, the message, the emotion in it. And I really resonated with the story, so I got wrapped up in it very, very quickly. So guys, that is my review. If you have seen If, let me know what you thought about it down below in the comments. And if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend to go check it out, especially if you have a family. Go on a cheap Tuesday and just have fun, you know? Watch this movie, it's a good time, have some popcorn, and have a little family outing. Thanks for watching the review, and I will see you guys in the next video.